Alright, so our main character Muge has a crazy childhood friend who secretly swaps his drinks with ones she already tasted.
It is not even the first time he warns her to stop doing this weird stuff.
She doesn't listen. She just doubles down on her obsession.
She literally sneaks into his bed to sniff his scent and even pulls a knife on him.
She completely bans him from talking to other girls, making him hope he can escape her when he grows up. But plot twist, on his 18th birthday, his own mom goes bankrupt and straight up sells him to her family. Once he steps into her house, her years of bottled up obsession completely explode. Talk about major yandere energy. She literally steps her bare feet directly onto his face. She stuffs her socks in his mouth. Pure madness. All of this is just to force him to be with her, and now she is holding a knife to him. Muge stumbles back. Lin Xiaoxi, please calm down. He tells her she is terrifying him, but she completely tunes out his voice. She grabs him and drags him toward the bedroom while he struggles with everything he has got. He thrashes around, but her grip is pure iron. In the bedroom, she slams him. Then he starts tearing his clothes off like a madman, endlessly chanting Muge's name. Screaming they must be together forever, and from that day on, things get terrifying. Lin Xiaoxi completely snaps, and honestly, this yandere turn is wild, keeping Muge locked inside.
He seals every single window shut and even cuts the phone line.
Muge tries to talk some sense into him, but it only drives him deeper into madness.
He rants that the outside world is too dangerous, and Muge is only safe with him. This leaves Muge trapped in absolute despair, with absolutely no clue how to escape this living nightmare. As the days drag on, Muge starts losing his mind. Lin Xiaoxi's control gets tighter. No food. No sleep either. Finally, Muge tries to escape through the window. But he gets caught. Lin Xiaoxi charges. He slams Muge to the ground, yelling, "Why do you treat me like this, Brother Mu? Don't you love me?" He's practically weeping. His eyes are a terrifying mix of despair and pure rage. Terrified, Muge tries to reason. This is not love. Lin ignores him. He grabs a sharp knife from the kitchen and mutters, "Brother Mu."
Since you won't stay willingly, we'll just stay here together forever.
Brandishing the blade, he closes in. Honestly, this villain is actually insane. Muge's heart hammers, back against the wall, no escape. Suddenly, a loud knock shakes the door. Police! Open up. Turns out the neighbors realized something was wrong. Hearing the cops, Lin Xiaoxi completely freezes. Muge seizes the opening, lunges, and wrests the knife away. Cops burst in and tackle Lin, but as they drag him out, he keeps staring at Muge, muttering his name, saying he did it all for him. Talk about absolute nightmare fuel. Muge is free. But those dark memories still linger. It will take time to heal. Muge tries his best to get his life back on track, but Lin Xiaoxi's shadow still haunts him. Those memories constantly flashed in Muge's mind, basically a living nightmare he couldn't escape. One day, a letter arrives. The handwriting on the envelope makes his heart instantly skip a beat. It was from Lin Xiaoxi, writing that he thinks of Muge every single second in there. "I know I messed up," the letter reads. "Please come visit me." Muge is completely torn. Honestly, who wouldn't be? He's terrified of falling back into Xiaoxi's crazy obsession. But at the same time, he secretly hopes Xiaoxi might have actually changed. So he finally decides to go, and when he sees Xiaoxi sitting behind the prison glass, his eyes no longer hold that terrifying madness, replaced instead by pure regret and nostalgia. This is low-key heartbreaking. Xiaoxi cries, "Muge, I'm so sorry. I truly know I was wrong." He explains he's been in therapy and is finally starting to clear his head. Tears are literally welling up in his eyes, leaving Muge in dead silence for what feels like forever. But honestly, can we even trust this guy? As the days slowly bleed into weeks? As Xiaoxi's letters get more sincere by the day, Muge slowly begins to let his guard down. But then, boom, Muge gets a notification that Xiaoxi has been released early. His heart immediately shoots back up into his throat. Honestly, no shot this ends well. That night, Muge is walking home from work totally on edge. And right there at his doorstep stands a very familiar shadow. It's Xiaoxi.
He's holding a bouquet of flowers, just smiling at him. Okay, this is actually crazy. Mooj, I'm back, he says with a smile. This time I'm really cured. Muji is hesitating. Should he even let him step inside? But then Xiaoxi suddenly lunges forward and wraps him in a tight hug, catching Muge completely off guard. He's utterly lost on what to do, standing there completely frozen on the spot. Muge, please believe me, I've really changed this time. His voice is trembling right next to Muge's ear, practically begging for a second chance. Muge slowly pushes him away, looking straight into his eyes. He tries to spot even a single trace of acting or manipulation, but all he sees is raw sincerity and hope. Fine, let's talk inside. Muge says it, his soft heart getting the absolute best of him. Once inside, Xiaoxi acts like a total angel, immediately helping clean up the place. He even whips up a massive dinner, which honestly has Muge feeling pretty dazed. It's like they're back in the good old days when they were just innocent childhood friends. But just when Muge is finally lowering his guard, he notices something off about Xiaoxi. The guy is secretly tracking Muge's every single move, and this creepy, unsettling look occasionally flashes deep within his eyes. One night, a tiny rustling noise wakes Muge right up. He opens his eyes and... Nah, that's insane. Xiaoxi is standing right over his bed, holding scissors. His expression under the moonlight looks incredibly sinister, sending a jolt of panic through Muge as he bolts up, screaming out, "Xiaoxi!"
What on earth are you doing? Xiaoxi instantly freezes.
Then he forces this creepy smile and says he just noticed Muge's shirt was torn. He claimed he wanted to help fix it. Like, bro, who are you trying to fool? Muge knows right then and there that things are definitely not what they seem. After that, Muge starts keeping a super close eye on Xiaoxi's every single move. And what does he find? Xiaoxi is secretly hoarding some incredibly sketchy items. We're talking ropes and heavy-duty tape. Yep, sheer panic starts taking over Muge again. Did he ever actually change? Or is this whole good boy routine just a sick disguise? Just as Muge is desperately trying to figure out how to handle this, Xiaoxi seems to notice his suspicion. His behavior gets even more unhinged and extreme. Then, one day, Muge gets home from work. Muge finds his home turned into a literal escape room with his own photos covering every single wall. Plastered everywhere. Seriously, this is straight up nightmare fuel. Right then, Lin Xiaoxi stands there. Wearing a white dress and gorgeous makeup, she smiles warmly. These are all their memories, she says. Muge just stares in absolute horror, trying to escape. But the door is locked. He screams at Lin Xiaoxi to open it right now. She slowly steps closer. With complete obsession, she warns Muge to never try leaving her. This room is their world now. She pulls out an iron chain. He fights back, but she shoves him to the ground. "Why leave?" she screams. Muge grabs the chain while she's distracted. He prepares to strike, but she bursts into tears. Honestly, this is pure nightmare fuel. Suddenly, she lunges forward again and traps him in a death grip. She whispers that even if he hates her, she is never letting go. Total despair sets in. He cannot break her insane grip. Her strength is unreal, and he yells at Lin Xiaoxi to release him. "You are breaking the law." But she does not care, a manic smile creeping onto her face. She only cares about being together. Absolutely nothing else. Suddenly, his phone rings, and her eyes instantly turn predatory. She smashes it instantly. She screams that nobody is allowed to interrupt them. His last hope shattered. Is he really about to be trapped here forever? Then he gets an idea. He decides to play along, softening his voice. He tells Lin Xiaoxi he does not want to leave her either. But this aggressive behavior is just scaring him. Her expression softens slightly. She promises to treat him well if he behaves. He edges toward the window. But she immediately spots his move and lunges again. She drags him back. Her voice is dripping with rage, prompting him to deny it. She is done trusting him. She pulls out a thick rope and ties him to a chair. No more escape attempts. Then she sits down right in front of him, her eyes completely locked. Time keeps ticking. Muge's body is completely numb from being tied up for so long. Her creepy eyes never leave him. Just as he's about to lose hope, loud chaos erupts outside the door. And then, boom, someone starts violently battering it down. She immediately panics and jumps up, her eyes flooded with pure rage and fear.
Screaming out, she warns that no one can ruin their time together.
With a massive crash, the door is completely busted open. A squad of police storms inside, shouting at her to let him go right now. She tries to fight back like a total maniac, but the cops easily pin her down.
Muge is finally rescued, though he's so weak he can barely stand.
Supported by the officers, he slowly steps out of that absolute nightmare of a room.
Even with the warm sun hitting his face, he feels completely numb inside. For a long time after getting home, he's basically living in a constant shadow of fear. Every single night, Lin Xiaoxi's unhinged, crazy stare keeps flashing in his mind. Honestly, the trauma is so real that he decides to seek professional help. He starts going to therapy, trying his absolute best to heal. And slowly, he actually starts getting his normal life back, or so he thinks. But just when he thinks the nightmare is over, he receives an anonymous letter one night. The note has just one terrifying sentence. "Brother Mu, I am coming back for you." His heart instantly drops. No shot. Is this girl seriously still obsessed with him? The dread crawls right back in, leaving him wondering what nightmare comes next. And get this, just a few days later, she actually gets released. She basically faked being perfectly sane and super apologetic to trick everyone. Both the doctors and the cops totally bought it, leaving Muge absolutely devastated. His anxiety spikes, and terror shadows his every step. One evening, on his way home, a hand suddenly yanks him into a dark alley. And yep, it is Lin Xiaoxi back again. Her eyes look even more obsessive now as she whispers, "Muge, I promised I would return." She clings to him like a vice, swearing that nobody can ever separate them again. With her grip being insanely strong, he desperately tries to reason with her. But she completely tunes him out, muttering that his world must only belong to her. She is determined to keep him forever, and from that moment on, it is pure hell. From that moment on, she starts stalking his every single move, 24/7. She shows up at his job and literally camps outside his apartment door all night. He doesn't even dare call the cops because they think he's just paranoid now. Talk about a total living nightmare. This Yandere childhood friend has him completely trapped. With absolutely nowhere to run, the despair starts to sink in. So Mugi decides to play along and pretend to submit, waiting for a chance to escape. When he first acts completely obedient, she is naturally a bit suspicious of him. But seeing him agree to everything, she finally lets out a creepy, satisfied smile. Slowly, she begins to let her guard down, giving him a bit of breathing room. He plays the part, going shopping with her to keep up the act. They do all the normal couple stuff, but his mind is screaming in absolute terror the entire time. Then she tells him she wants to take him somewhere special. It turns out to be an abandoned factory in the middle of nowhere, pure horror movie vibes. Lin Xiaoxi drags Muge to a creepy spot, calling it their secret base. Holding Muge's hand tight, his eyes glow with insane excitement. Muge swallows his terror. He follows him inside. He has no clue what's next, but he knows he must play it cool. He is just waiting for a chance to run as they head deeper inside. Suddenly, Lin Xiaoxi stops and hugs him tightly. He whispers that no one will ever disturb them here. Honestly, his echoing voice in that empty space gives major villain energy. Muge forces a fake smile, trying to play along. Lin Xiaoxi pulls out a key, opening a hidden side room. The room is literally packed with creepy photos of Muge. There are old things he used and even restraints. Restraining tools. Muge's heart drops. He is terrified as Lin Xiaoxi drags him over. He forces Muge down, detailing his insane future plans. "We will live here forever, Muge." He promises they will never part, and he will cook daily. Muge just nods along, but his mind is racing. He is plotting his escape as the days slowly pass, and soon, Lin Xiaoxi lets his guard down completely. One day, he goes out for food, and get this, he forgets to lock up.
This is his golden ticket, and Mujie bolts without looking back.
But then, a shout.
Lin Xiaoxi screams from behind, yelling that Mujie actually lied to him. With his heart practically exploding, Mujie runs for his life. He scrambles wildly through overgrown paths. Mud ruins his shoes, while sharp branches rip his clothes. He ignores the pain as the crazed screams fade away.
Hope flares as he finally bursts out of the wasteland.
He reaches the highway, and luckily a taxi is coming. He waves it down, yelling for the driver to move. Seeing his absolute terror, the driver knows something is wrong.
No questions asked. He just floors the gas pedal.
They speed away as Mujie collapses, gasping for air. Heart pounding, he looks back. Confirming Lin Xiaoxi is not there, he finally breathes.
Back in the city, he hides in a cheap motel. No way he is going home or contacting anyone.
The fear of being found keeps him locked inside. He curls in a corner, unable to escape his thoughts. Those crazed eyes haunt him. Will this nightmare ever end? Days blur together as he hides in the dark. Too terrified to step outside, anxiety eats him alive. He expects Lin Xiaoxi to burst in, but nothing happens. With zero sign of the psycho, he finally relaxes a bit.
He starts figuring out what to do next, knowing he can't just hide forever.
To get his life back on track, he decides his first step is finding a job.
Just trying to blend back into normal society, and after putting in some serious effort,
he actually manages to land a pretty simple gig at a small local company. His coworkers are super friendly, and the overall work environment is honestly not bad at all.
Our guy forces himself to focus entirely on work, desperately trying to bury those traumatic memories.
But the moment night falls, his mind immediately drifts back to Lin Xiaoxi.
He is constantly terrified that the guy will suddenly barge back into his life.
One evening, while walking home on his usual route, he suddenly feels like someone is tailing him.
His heart rate instantly spikes, and the very first name that pops into his head is Lin Xiaoxi. He immediately quickens his pace, trying to shake off that creepy feeling of being watched.
But no matter how fast he moves, that heavy gaze follows him like a shadow.
Finally, he can't take it anymore and whips his head around, only to catch a dark figure. It quickly slips into a side alley, leaving his heart hammering right in his throat. After debating it, he decides to walk into the dark alley to see what is going on. Stepping inside, the alley is pitch black, damp, and filled with a heavy atmosphere. There is a terrible, foul smell lingering as he cautiously creeps forward. Suddenly, a low, heavy panting sound echoes, and he nervously calls out, asking who is there. Out of nowhere, a ragged-looking man with long, messy hair slowly crawls out from a dark corner. His eyes are completely vacant, and he honestly looks like he has lost his mind. Our guy backs away, warning him to stay away. But the man just mutters complete gibberish while closing the distance step by step. Just as our guy is about to turn and bolt, the stranger suddenly collapses flat on the ground. His painful groans make our character stop, feeling a sudden wave of pity. He cautiously steps closer to check on him, which, honestly, is a terrible idea. The man suddenly grabs his ankle with an absolutely terrifying amount of strength. "Save me! Please save me!" the man mutters incoherently. It takes some serious effort to break free before he scrambles right out of that alley. Once he gets back home, his mind is racing and he just can't calm down. He can't help but wonder what on earth that strange guy actually went through. Over the next few days, our main character is completely distracted.
The image of that broken, desperate man is literally living rent-free in his head.
To get some peace of mind, he decides to ask around and gather some info on him. He talks to some of the locals and finds out the guy is actually just a homeless wanderer. Apparently, his mind has been completely gone for quite a while now. Some locals claim he survived a horrific accident in his past. Others say a massive trauma broke him, but honestly, nobody knows the real story. Passing by the same alley after work one day, he spots the man once again. Seeing him shivering and curled up in a corner completely melts our guy's heart. So he buys him some food and fresh water, and when the man looks up, a brief flash of gratitude crosses his face before turning back into pure confusion and fear. "Thank you, but I just can't control it," the man mutters in a trembling voice. After that encounter, our protagonist starts dropping off basic supplies for him every now and then.
Over time, the guy drops his guard and even manages to mumble a few coherent words. But then comes the ultimate plot twist. One night, he gets home to find a mysterious letter. The letter has this crooked, messy handwriting telling Muge to get out of there before he regrets it. This instantly puts our guy on edge, since he has no idea if the homeless man wrote it. Or if there is some other crazy reason, like could Lin Xiaoxi seriously be back?
Is there some other hidden danger creeping up? While Muge stands there completely lost in thought. Suddenly, a familiar figure steps out from the street corner. Oh no, it is Lin Xiaoxi, wearing a white dress. She looks incredibly pale, but her eyes are still full of that same crazy, obsessive vibe. She literally smiles and tells Muge that he can never escape her. Smiling coldly, she starts closing the distance, stepping closer and closer to him. Talk about a jump scare, Muge's heart starts racing as absolute terror hits him again. In total despair, Muge begs Lin Xiaoxi to just let him go. But she completely ignores him, stepping right up to grab him with a crazed look. She tells him to come with her, claiming this is their destiny. But then boom, out of nowhere, the homeless man rushes in to block her path. He screams at her, "Don't hurt him!" This sudden move actually catches Lin Xiaoxi off guard, freezing her for a second. Furious, she snaps at the crazy old man to get lost, but he tightly shields Muge from her. Facing her down with pure desperation, he creates a tense, deadlocked standoff. Nobody knows what is going to happen next in this crazy, high-tension standoff. Lin Xiaoxi suddenly lunges forward to push him aside, but the homeless man refuses to back down. The two end up in a wild scuffle while Muge stands there completely panicking. He is totally frozen, but then Lin Xiaoxi catches the old man completely off guard. She shoves him with everything she has, sending him crashing to the ground. Instantly, she pounces back toward Muge, locking her grip onto his arm. Her grip is insanely strong, making him scream in pain as she tells him to go with her. She starts physically dragging him away, but the homeless man is not done yet. Scrambling back up, he grabs Lin Xiaoxi from behind in a desperate bear hug. This finally buys Muge a second to break free, and the man yells at him to run. Muge does not hesitate. He bolts, running for his absolute life. After putting some distance between them, he ducks into a dark corner, gasping for air. His chest is still pounding as he wonders what happened to that homeless savior. Will she track him down here? He waits in the shadows for what feels like hours. With no sound around him, he slowly, carefully peeks his head out. He creeps back toward the scene of the fight to see what happened. Both of them are completely gone, leaving him drowning in absolute worry and confusion. As he starts looking around for any clues, his mind goes to some pretty dark places. What if she easily broke free and is already tracking his footsteps? Or worse, did that poor homeless man actually pay the ultimate price just to save him? Honestly, the sheer panic of the situation just completely paralyzes him. There is no time to overthink. The only survival instinct left is to run. He needs to get as far away from this nightmare as humanly possible. Escaping her grasp is the only thing that matters as he sprints in the opposite direction. The only sound left is the rushing wind and his own heavy, desperate gasps. He just keeps running until his legs physically turn to jelly. Finally collapsing to catch his breath, he looks up and realizes something wild. He ends up in a completely strange place, surrounded by narrow, creepy streets and rundown houses. The dead silence is creepy, but it is nothing compared to the absolute dread of Lin Xiaoxi finding him. That is nothing. He struggles to quiet his ragged breathing. He looks around, desperately searching for any spot to hide from his crazy stalker. And then, boom, he hears footsteps echoing in the dark. In this dead silence, each step sounds incredibly loud. Each step hits like a hammer, making his heart race out of control. He stares into the darkness, slowly backing away in pure panic. Is it Lin Xiaoxi already, or is that mysterious vagrant back again? Or even worse, some new threat? He presses his back hard against the cold wall. Cold sweat drips down his face as his mind goes totally blank. He has no idea what to do, and those footsteps are getting dangerously close. His heart is literally in his throat when a dark figure finally rounds the corner. It is the vagrant, looking completely exhausted and run down. His clothes are even filthier than before. He spots Muge. With a strange look in his eyes, he whispers to follow him because she cannot find them here.
The vagrant leads the way, and Mugi hesitates for just a second.
But honestly, he has no better options left.
He follows the man into a dark, damp, and completely run-down shack.
The whole place reeks of rot. The vagrant finds a spot and sits down. He gestures for Muge to sit, who immediately asks why he is helping him.
The vagrant goes dead silent for a moment, staring into the dark. He slowly explains that he once went through the same nightmare of being hunted by pure madness. That kind of toxic obsession ruins lives. This guy is actually so mysterious. Muge wants to ask more, but sudden loud noises from outside cut him off. The vagrant jumps up, warning that she might have found them. Muge panicked again.
No shot, is he really about to get caught by Lin Xiaoxi here?
The vagrant grabs him and drags him behind a pile of old trash in the corner. He signals Muge to shut up as the footsteps creep closer and closer. His chest is pounding so hard he can barely breathe.
Suddenly, the footsteps stop right outside the door.
This is insane tension. Lin Xiaoxi calls out, yelling that she knows Muge is inside and to come out right now. Her voice is dripping with pure madness. The vagrant instantly covers Muge's mouth. He is terrified the kid will make a sound. Finally, silence returns. The vagrant cautiously peeks outside to see if she left.
He sighs in relief, saying she left for now, but she will definitely double back.
They need to move fast. The vagrant immediately leads Muge out. Weaving through a dizzying maze of back alleys takes what feels like hours. They finally reach an abandoned warehouse, and the vagrant says to hide there tonight. Muge just nods, completely drained of all energy. He slumps onto the cold floor as the chilling night wind blows through broken windows.
Staring into the pitch-black corners, he feels nothing but absolute dread.
He really has no idea when this waking nightmare will finally end. Back to back in the abandoned warehouse, neither of them dares to sleep. The heavy darkness around them feels like it is crawling with constant unseen threats.
At this point, every tiny sound has Muge's nerves completely fried.
He finally breaks the silence, asking the tramp if they can actually escape. His voice is pure desperation, and the tramp just stays quiet for a moment, before muttering that as long as they don't give up, there is always hope. Eventually, exhaustion takes over, and Muge just cannot keep his eyes open anymore. He drifts off into a heavy sleep, but when he finally wakes up, things get bad. It is broad daylight, and the tramp is completely gone. Instantly, his stomach drops and a terrible gut feeling starts creeping in. He scrambles around the warehouse, shouting the guy's name desperately. Zero response. But just as he is losing his mind with worry, the warehouse door swings open, and Lin Xiaoxi casually walks inside.
She has a smug grin, calling out to her brother Mu.
Asking if he really thought that bum could save him, as Muge backs away in terror. He stammers out, "What did you do to him?" But she scoffs, revealing she made him disappear forever. Bro, this villainess is actually unhinged. Muge's heart instantly sinks as a wave of absolute rage and despair hits him. He screams that she is a complete lunatic, but she does not care at all. She tells him nobody can ever separate them now, suddenly grabbing his arm with force. Her grip is so insanely strong he cannot break free, as she demands he comes home. There is absolutely zero room for negotiation in her voice. He fights back with everything he's got, but she still drags him out of the warehouse. He tries to look around for help, but one death glare from her shuts him up. He is too terrified to even make a sound as they walk back. Right back to that familiar, horrifying house. The front door slams shut. And just like that, he is locked right back into this living nightmare. She coldly tells him running is completely useless, leaving him collapsed on the floor in despair. His spirit is completely broken, wondering if he will ever escape this terrifying woman. He just sits there in the dark corner like a shell of himself. Eyes completely blank, hope entirely gone. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxi keeps her eyes glued to him, terrified he will slip away again. Honestly, the pacing of this psychological horror is top tier. Every second feels like endless torture. Suddenly, her phone starts ringing. After picking up,
Her expression completely changes. Looking dead serious, she warns him that she has to handle some urgent business,
telling him he better stay put and not try any more cheap tricks. She gives him one last menacing look, slams the door, and rushes out. Hearing her footsteps fade into the distance, a tiny spark of hope ignites again.
This is his shot to make a break for it. But what if she returns?
After debating it back and forth, he decides to risk everything. He creeps over to the door and slowly twists the handle.
No shot. The door is actually unlocked. He peeks his head out.
Once he confirms the coast is clear, he bolts for his life.
But he barely makes it down the street before hearing her manic screaming.
She shrieks his name, making his heart leap into his throat as he runs even faster.
But out of nowhere, this girl pulls up on a freaking motorcycle.
The engine roars as she closes the gap, catching up in seconds.
She slams her motorcycle right in front of Moo. Brother Moo, why won't you just listen? Leaping off the bike, she rushes over and grabs him by the collar.
Her eyes are filled with pure rage and despair, with tears welling up.
I did so much for you, she cries, yet you keep trying to leave me.
She screams at him, her voice cracking and going completely hoarse. Then she pulls a sharp dagger from her pocket and presses it right against Moo's neck.
Come back with me, she threatens, or we both die right here. Her face is totally warped. Seriously, she has completely lost her mind here.
Moo is shaking like a leaf, way too terrified to even think of fighting back.
Okay, honey, I'll go back. Just don't do anything crazy, Moo stammers out. His eyes are filled with pure panic, but hearing him call her his wife? Lin Xiaoxi calms down just a tiny bit, though she keeps that blade pressed to his skin. Hubby, wouldn't it be easier if you just behaved? She purrs, dragging him away.
The entire way back, she keeps a death grip on his arm so he can't bolt. Back at the house, she shoves Moo into the room. Lock. Hubby, you're gonna stay right here, she says.
Don't even dream of leaving. Lin Xiaoxi then sits on the edge of the bed.
Her eyes glued to him. At this point, Moo is too scared to even twitch.
Play acting is his only option, meekly telling her she's the best wife ever. He promises to do whatever she wants, but his mind is frantically seeking an escape.
Lin Xiaoxi snuggles into his chest, wearing a super creepy but satisfied smile.
Yet her eyes are still dead silent and watchful. Hubby, we'll be like this forever, she whispers. Never, ever parting. Mew gently pats her back and pretends to agree.
It takes a while, but Lin Xiaoxi finally seems to relax her guard a bit.
She gets up and tells him she's gonna cook him a meal.
After she leaves, the clattering of pots and pans echoes from the kitchen.
Mew realizes this is his only shot. He quietly sneaks toward the window.
No shot. It's completely sealed shut.
Just as panic sets in, Lin Xiaoxi's sweet voice drifts from the kitchen. Don't move around, hubby, or I can't promise what I might do next.
Moo's stomach drops. Defeated, he has no choice but to sit back on the bed.
Moments later, Lin Xiaoxi walks back in with a tray of food.
Time to eat, hubby, she says, setting the plates down on the table.
Her eyes locked onto his every move. Mew slowly edges over,
picks up his chopsticks, and swallows the food without tasting a single bite. Night falls.
Lin Xiaoxi wraps him in a tight chokehold as she drifts to sleep.
Moo lies there, his heart hammering like a drum in the pitch black. He waits, counting the agonizing seconds for her to fall into a deep sleep. Hearing her steady breathing, he carefully slips out of her tight embrace. Quietly sitting up, he uses only the faint moonlight to guide him.
Tiptoeing to the door, he holds his breath and slowly turns the handle.
The door lets out a tiny creak, and his heart instantly leaps into his throat.
Glancing back, he's relieved to see Lin Xiaoxi hasn't woken up.
He cracks the door open and silently slips out into the night.
The chilly night air hits him immediately, making him shiver.
Muge doesn't dare waste any time, sprinting toward where he remembers the exit being.
Suddenly, Lin Xiaoxi screams from behind.
She shrieks that he lied to her again, sending him into an absolute panic.
He runs. The pitch-black night threatens to swallow him. Ignoring everything, he charges forward, hearing nothing but his own wild heartbeat and heavy breathing.
As her screaming finally starts fading into the distance, a tiny spark of hope flares up. After running for what feels like hours, he finally spots a glimmer of light ahead.
It is his way out. He uses every last bit of his strength to reach it. Bursting out of the shadows, he finally stumbles onto a brightly lit main street. Muga collapses onto the pavement in sheer relief, but he still cannot afford to stay. He drags himself up, hails a taxi, and quickly escapes this absolute nightmare. Staring back, he watches the darkness slowly shrink away. In his mind, he makes a promise. He is never coming back to this hellhole. The taxi speeds down the highway as he watches the city lights blur past. His mind is still racing by the time they pull up to a completely unfamiliar neighborhood. Paying the driver, he checks into a cheap motel, just to have a temporary hideout. Over the next few days, paranoia keeps him on edge, and nightmares constantly jolt him awake. Realizing he needs a fresh start, Muge manages to find a pretty basic job. It is tiring, but the routine brings peace. Until one night on his way home, he feels watched. His stomach instantly drops. Is Lin Xiaoxi back for round 2? He quickly speeds up his pace. Desperate to shake the feeling, he freezes when a heavy hand suddenly clamps onto his shoulder. Muge spins around in absolute terror, but it is just a random stranger asking if he is Muge. Standing on guard, Muge demands to know exactly who this guy is. The stranger just chuckles, telling him to relax since he is just delivering a message. His throat goes dry as he asks what the message is, and the response is chilling. She will find you no matter where you hide. Hearing those words completely breaks him. Muge turns completely pale. Will he ever escape Lin Xiaoxi? Forcing himself to stay calm, he confronts the messenger. He tells the man to give her a warning. Stay the hell away from him. Just as absolute dread starts creeping in, a familiar voice calls out his name. He turns around to see his close friend, Lin Ze, walking up to him. Seeing his friend is like finding a lifeline. Lin Ze quickly hurries over. Noticing Muge looks completely shook, his friend asks him what is going on. Muge dumps the entire crazy story on him, explaining everything that has been happening. Lin Ze frowns, thinking it over before telling him not to worry. He promises they will figure something out together, but then something else happens. The stranger just smirked and walked away. Okay, this is getting sketchy. Muge and Lin Ze just stand there, totally uneasy. Wanting to get him somewhere safe, Lin Ze pulls him back to his apartment. All along the way, his friend keeps trying to calm his nerves, telling him not to worry. He promises they will find a solution. Soon, they finally arrive at the apartment. Slumped on the couch, Muge still feels incredibly heavy as Lin Ze hands him some water. Sitting beside him, Lin Ze suggests calling the police, but Muge seriously doubts if that will actually work. While they are planning, Mu is terrified Lin Xiaoxi will do something even crazier. Suddenly, a loud knock rattles the door, and the two lock eyes. Their hearts sink as Lin Ze creeps over to the door. He peeks through the peephole, and his face instantly goes pale. It is Lin Xiaoxi. He whispers the name, and Mu feels his stomach completely drop. Lin Ze takes a sharp breath and tells Mu to hide in the bedroom. Mu bolts inside and shuts the door, his heart hammering in his chest. Outside, Lin Xiaoxi screams, "Lin Ze, I know Mu is in there with you." "Let him out right now," she yells, while Lin Ze tries to reason with her.
He tells her to calm down so they can talk this out.
Xiaoxi sneers. Talk it out? He keeps running away from me. There is nothing left to say, followed by a tense, sudden silence. A brutal shouting match explodes, and honestly, the tension here is absolutely insane. Mu has no idea what is happening until the bedroom door is violently kicked open.
Xiaoxi storms in, screaming that Mu will not escape her this time.
Her eyes burn with pure rage and obsession as Muna backs away in terror. He hits the corner, trapped, just as Lin Ze rushes in after her. Lin Ze shields Mu, telling Xiaoxi that what she is doing is completely wrong. He warns her she cannot force Mu to be with her, but she just glares. She tells him to back off because this is strictly between them. But Lin Ze stands his ground, refusing to let her hurt Mu. He says Mu is his friend and he has to protect him. Xiaoxi just laughs. "You really think you can stop me?" Suddenly, she pulls a knife from her bag and lunges straight at them. Lin Ze reacts instantly, grabbing her arm as they struggle for the blade. Amidst the screams and chaos, the blade slices deep into Lin Ze's arm. Mu screams his friend's name in horror, and right at that moment, police sirens wail outside, and Xiaoxi's face instantly drains of all color. She freezes in shock, and the knife clatters heavily onto the floor.
Officers burst through the door and quickly pin the crazy stalker down.
Both guys finally breathe, later heading to the station to file their reports.
When they finally step out of the police station, Mu feels different.
A massive weight is lifted off his chest as he thanks Lin Ze.
Mu looks at him with deep gratitude, and Lin Ze pats his shoulder.
He says that is what friends are for, but warns Mu to stay safe.
Days turn into weeks, and Mu tries his best to move on.
Honestly, her psychotic gaze still haunts him. Talk about some deep-seated trauma.
Then, out of nowhere, Mu receives a mysterious letter in the mail.
He tears it open to find a message from Xiaoxi herself.
She writes that she knows she messed up and is trying to change.
She begs for one last chance to start over once she is free.
Mu stares at the paper, memories of their past flooding his mind. He remembers the warmth and the sweet moments they used to share. His heart wavers slightly, a dangerous spark of hesitation lighting up inside. He cannot help but wonder, can a monster like her actually change?
Muga actually starts thinking that maybe everyone deserves a second chance.
And honestly, this doubt just keeps growing stronger in his mind.
He even starts imagining what if Lin Xiaoxi actually changed for real?
What their future would look like? But then he remembers those past crazy stunts.
And the panic sets in, because what if this is just another sick trap?
Right, while he is totally torn inside, Lin Ze shows up to find him.
Hey Muge, I heard you got Lin Xiaoxi's letter. You cannot seriously believe he changed.
Lin Ze looks completely worried, leaving Muge with nothing but a heavy, helpless sigh.
He just sighs. I do not even know. I am so conflicted.
Lin Ze grabs his shoulders. Bro, do not be stupid. Has not he hurt you enough already?
Mug just looks down in total silence. But in the end, he still decides to give Lin Xiaoxi one last shot and bails him out of the station.
The moment Lin Xiaoxi steps out of the station, he looks right at Muge. Eyes full of pure guilt and gratitude, he gasps,
Muge, thank you for believing in me.
With a shaking voice, he begs, and Muge just warns him to actually change this time. Back at the house, Lin Xiaoxi actually starts acting like a completely different person. He is suddenly super gentle, sweet, and puts Muge first in absolutely everything. But let's be real, who can actually let their guard down after all that?
One evening, Muge gets home from work to find a massive, delicious feast waiting for him.
Lin Xiaoxi smiles. Muge, you have been working so hard. Come try my cooking. But just as Muge is about to sit down and eat, his phone suddenly buzzes with a text from a totally random unknown number.
The text says, Xiaoxi has not changed. Instantly, Muge's heart drops into his stomach.
He plays it cool and looks up at Lin Xiaoxi, who is staring back with pure excitement. Hurry up and eat. These are all your favorites, Lin Xiaoxi says with a grin. Muge forces a fake smile, picks up his chopsticks, and takes a few nervous bites. Is it good? Lin Xiaoxi asks, leaning in close.
It is great, Muge lies, but his mind is totally spinning over that creepy text. As soon as they finish, he pretends to be exhausted and escapes to his bedroom.
Now he has to figure out who sent it. Could it actually be Lin Ze? But why would he hide it? Or does someone else entirely know Xiaoxi's dark past? Right, while his mind is spiraling, there is a knock, and Lin Xiaoxi walks in. Hey, Muge, I ran a hot bath for you. Go relax and wash up. Looking at his too-perfect smile, Muge's stomach just does absolute cartwheels from sheer anxiety. Still, he keeps his poker face on and tells him thanks with a fake grin. He tells him to get some rest, too, and Xiaoxi just nods obediently. He turns and leaves the room. Over the next couple of days, Muge acts completely normal on the outside, but low-key, he is watching him like a hawk.
He tracks Xiaoxi's every single move while the guy keeps cooking these perfect meals.
He keeps the house spotless and literally showers Muge with endless attention. Honestly, this perfect act is giving major red flags, and Muge knows it. One day, Muge gets off work early and finds the apartment completely empty.
Panic sets in. Where is he? But right as he heads for the door,
he hears Xiaoxi's footsteps approaching and scrambles back to the couch to sit down.
He pretends to watch TV, and boom, Xiaoxi walks in looking guilty as hell.
She quickly acts normal, asking Mulgi why he is home so early today.
Nothing much going on at the office, Muji replies.
Days pass in fake peace, but he never takes his eyes off Lin Xiaoxi. One day, she heads out and our guy quietly tails her. She takes a bunch of turns, ending up at a creepy suburban villa.
Muji's heart instantly drops. His gut tells him something is seriously wrong. He carefully creeps up to the villa and peeks through the window.
Inside, Lin Xiaoxi is standing there with a complete stranger.
They are arguing like crazy. She screams that she already did what he asked.
Her voice is shaking with pure rage and terror, asking why he won't free her.
The stranger just laughs and says that is not up to her. It is not that simple.
Hearing this guy sneer absolutely shocks Muge to his core. It turns out she was hiding so much. Talk about a major plot twist.
Lin Xiaoxi suddenly whips her head toward the window, and Muge almost stops breathing.
He ducks out of sight immediately and takes a deep breath. Forcing down his panic, he decides it is best to retreat and plan his next move. On his way back, his feet feel like lead as his mind spins out of control.
The image of that confrontation in the villa is just on repeat in his head.
Once he gets home, he simply cannot sit still.
Every single movement feels like pins and needles.
His mind is completely consumed by Lin Xiaoxi. He cannot stop visualizing her screaming at that shady guy, and it is driving him crazy.
When she finally walks through the door, he tries his best to act normal.
He plays it cool, but there is a literal storm raging inside him.
It feels like his fake smile is a thin sheet of glass about to shatter.
Lin Xiaoxi breaks the silence, asking how his day went.
Same as always, he replies, trying to sound completely casual. He keeps his voice flat, but even he can hear how stiff and forced he sounds.
That night, he lies in bed feeling like he is cursed.
Tosses and turns, zero sleep. Her steady breathing next to him feels less like comfort and more like a ticking bomb.
Can he even trust her? The girl he thought he knew is gone.
Suddenly, she feels like a total stranger, leaving him completely lost.
It is like being trapped in a dark maze with zero exits. By the next day, the stress is too much, so he meets up with Lin Ze. The second they meet, Muge just lets everything spill out in a frantic rush.
He explains how he caught Lin Xiaoxi fighting with that shady stranger at the villa. They're definitely hiding some massive secret. Honestly, this thriller pacing is elite.
Lin Ze frowns, clearly worried, saying this is a really bad situation. He asks what Muge plans to do next, but then his phone rings.
It is Lin Xiaoxi calling to say she needs to talk to him. Her voice sounds completely drained, like she just fought a massive uphill battle.
He shuts her down instantly, telling her he is too busy. With the villa scene burned into his brain, he just cannot face her yet. He is still completely stressed over whatever secret debt she might be hiding. On the other end of the line, silence stretches out as if time itself has completely frozen.
Then Lin Xiaoxi finally speaks up. Fine, they can just talk whenever he's free.
After hanging up, Muge breaks down the entire situation to his friend Lin Ze. Lin Ze thinks it over and tells them they absolutely need to get to the bottom of this. His advice is simple. Give her the cold shoulder for a few days to see how she reacts. Over the next few days, Lin Xiaoxi completely blows up his phone with endless calls and texts. The notifications just keep coming, but staring at her name on the screen makes his stomach turn. Total silence. He leaves her on read.
Until one day, Lin Xiaoxi suddenly corners him in person. Her eyes are totally red and swollen like she's been crying for hours.
With dark circles framing her face, she looks absolutely exhausted. She begs Muge to just listen to her explanation, her voice cracking with pure desperation. Looking at her like a wounded animal, Muge feels his resolve instantly start to crumble. He finally gives in. Lin Xiaoxi takes a deep breath, gathering every bit of courage she has left.
She slowly explains that the mysterious older man from before is actually her rich father.
Apparently, he is incredibly strict, and her past mistakes made him absolutely furious. To punish her, he cut off all her money and even threatened her. All her wild behavior lately was just because she felt completely backed into a corner. Muge's jaw drops. He did not see that twist coming at all. He can't help but ask why on earth she didn't just tell him sooner. While he feels a mix of shock and frustration, Lin Xiaoxi quietly hangs her head. In a barely audible whisper, she admits she was terrified he would look down on her. She didn't want him thinking she was just some spoiled kid who couldn't survive without her family. Seeing her look so broken, his heart completely melts, and he tells her she's forgiven. But there's a catch. He warns her never to keep secrets from him again. A spark of hope flashes in her eyes, like she finally found a way out of the dark. She eagerly promises she won't, and from that exact moment, everything actually changes. Lin Xiaoxi acts like a totally different person, completely leaving her toxic drama behind. Their relationship finally finds some peace, making all that past chaos feel like a bad dream. Then, the peace shatters. He crosses paths with her so-called father, who glares at him with pure hatred. Staring him down like a wild animal, the dad sneers and tells Muge to back off. He warns him to stay far away from his daughter, claiming things will end badly. Muge freezes on the spot as a million questions race through his mind. Is there some major secret she's still keeping from him?
He demands to know what the old man means, since Lin Xiaoxi already explained everything.
Frowning, he stands there completely baffled. The father just scoffs. He claims she's just playing victim to trick him. This twist is honestly insane. Muge's heart sinks instantly, but his brain refuses to believe the old man's words. He argues that it's impossible because he saw her change, but the dad laughs it off. He insists she only got back with him to manipulate her dad into giving her cash. The father's words hit like a physical punch, tearing Muge's newfound peace to shreds. Mu feels a sharp sting as he drags his soulless body back home. He sees Lin Xiaoxi cooking in the kitchen, wearing a perfectly happy smile. It feels like nothing ever happened, but that smile is chilling. He is totally torn on who to trust. Right at that second, his phone suddenly buzzed. It is a text from Lin Xiaoxi's dad telling him to run for his life. A total shiver runs down his spine. It feels like an invisible hand is suddenly choking the life right out of him. He slowly looks up at Lin Xiaoxi, who is carrying a plate of food. The guy is walking over with light steps, looking completely gentle and sweet. "Dinner's ready, come try some." Xiaoxi calls out, his voice sounding so bright and cheerful. Hu Ji forces himself to stay calm, squeezing out a fake smile.
As he sits down to eat, his mind is racing, hyper-fixated on that terrifying text.
The food tastes completely like cardboard to him. Every single bite feels like swallowing glass, an absolute struggle to get down. Once dinner wraps up, Xiaoxi washes the dishes while Hugo sits on the couch. His mind is a chaotic mess. He has absolutely no idea what to do, when suddenly Xiaoxi's phone starts ringing. He answers, and then boom, his face instantly turns dark as ink. He turns with a dead, hollow stare. It is like he is a total stranger now, muttering Huge's name. I thought I could keep lying to you forever, but it looks like that is over. That freezing tone sends an absolute shiver straight down the poor guy's spine. Hugo is frozen in pure panic. He asks what Xiaoxi is saying, but the guy just lets out a creepy laugh. That smile is straight up nightmare fuel. Stop acting, he sneers. Don't you already know my true face? Hu Ji stands up, his entire body shaking. He begs him not to go crazy. But he just keeps stepping closer, his eyes completely consumed by a dark, obsessive madness. Looking like a literal demon, he snaps. Crazy? After everything I sacrificed for you? And yet you want to leave me? With that, he grabs a nearby vase. The vase crashes heavily. Sharp glass shards explode everywhere, breaking the dead silence of the room. "Xiaoxi, calm down!" Huge screams, desperately trying to get through to him. He tries to snap him back to reality, but Xiaoxi is gone. The guy has completely lost control, and Hugo stops hesitating. He bolts for the door, while Xiaoxi lets out a blood-curdling shriek from right behind him. Then comes the sound of heavy, frantic footsteps following right on his heels. His heart is pounding frantically. Driven by pure survival instinct, he bursts out of the house into the street. He sprints blindly, constantly looking back to see if the psycho is catching up. Terrified of getting caught, he barely notices a car screeching to a halt right in front of him. A car barely misses him, and the furious driver yells out some heavy insults. He does not even stop to apologize, running like a completely terrified animal. He keeps running, completely out of breath. His legs feel like actual lead, but thank goodness Lin Xiaoxi is finally nowhere in sight. Panic-stricken, Muge slips into a dark alleyway, sliding down the wall just to catch his breath. His heart is hammering so hard it feels like it might literally burst right out of his chest. He is completely overwhelmed by pure dread, with absolutely no clue where to run next. What if Lin Xiaoxi is still hunting him down? After a split second of frantic thinking, Muge decides he needs a hiding spot immediately, creeping through the shadows with extra caution. His eyes dart around frantically, searching for any corner that might keep him out of sight. Finally, he spots an old, abandoned warehouse door, almost like it is calling out to him.
He gently pushes the door open, immediately hit by a heavy wave of musty, stale air.
The whole place smells like rot, but he manages to find a corner piled high with junk. He crouches low to stay hidden, looking just like a wounded animal trying to survive. Shivering in the pitch black, his heart beats like a drum in his ears. Every tiny sound outside makes his nerves shoot through the roof as he listens closely. He is terrified that Lin Xiaoxi will burst through the door any second while time slowly ticks by. But surprisingly, there is absolutely no sign of her voice out there in the quiet. Muge relaxes his tensed-up shoulders just a tiny bit and starts plotting his next move. Pulling out his phone, he realizes the battery is almost completely dead.
He hesitates to call for help because what if she catches him?
What if Lin Xiaoxi tracks his signal? Right as he is debating this nightmare scenario, sudden footsteps echo right outside the warehouse, sounding insanely loud in the dead silence. His heart jumps right back into his throat. Talk about a major jump scare. The footsteps are getting closer, and at this point he is barely even breathing. Panic-stricken, he squeezes into an old rusted locker that reeks of pungent, decaying metal. The cramped space is literally suffocating, and he curls up, not daring to make a sound. Honestly, he feels exactly like a helpless prey trapped in a tiny cage. Lin Xiaoxi steps inside the warehouse, her heavy footsteps echoing through the empty building. Every single step she takes feels like a direct hit to Muge's soul. She calls out, "Muge, I know you were in here, so stop hiding." Her creepy voice sounds like it is coming straight from the underworld itself. Muge clamps his hand over his mouth, trying desperately to quiet his breathing. He's terrified to make a sound while his heart beats like crazy. He can literally hear his own blood rushing. And then she stops, right in front of the locker. His adrenaline spikes to the absolute max. It feels like time has completely frozen. And then she slowly reaches out and pulls the locker door wide open. Their eyes lock, and her gaze is filled with nothing but pure psychotic excitement. She looks like she just found her most prized possession, a creepy smirk growing on her face. That twisted smile is actually horrifying as she laughs out, "Muge, I knew you were hiding right here." Her maniacal laughter echoes off the walls. It is absolutely chilling, and Muge just closes his eyes in utter despair. He knows he is totally cooked as absolute terror washes over him like a wave. Lin Xiaoxi violently drags him out of the locker and wraps him in a tight hug. She squeezes so hard he can barely breathe, like she wants to absorb him completely. She screams in his face, "Don't ever think about leaving me again." Her voice is shrill and completely unhinged as she shrieks directly in his ear. Muge cannot take it anymore, and raw survival instinct makes him fight back with everything. Muge fights back desperately, screaming at Lin Xiaoxi to let him go. Shouting at the top of his lungs, he shoves him away with all his might. Legs kicking wildly, Lin Xiaoxi is absolutely livid. His face twists into pure rage, looking like a straight-up rabid beast. "How dare you fight back?" he snarls, raising his hand to strike. Muge ducks, using his momentum to push him back hard. Lin Xiaoxi stumbles backward, completely losing his balance. He screams in disappointment and lunges forward once again. Pure madness, but Muge catches him completely off guard. He bolts for the exit while Lin Xiaoxi screams behind him. No looking back. He has to escape. He bursts out of the warehouse. Sprinting for his life, he dives into a maze of dark alleys. He runs until his lungs burn, finally losing him.
Gasping for air, he stops, his clothes torn and ragged.
Honestly, he looks like a total mess, but hey, a win is a win. But this freedom only brings a crushing sense of exhaustion. Before he can even catch his breath, the air turns freezing. He looks back, and of course, it is Lin Xiaoxi. Talk about bad timing. Somehow he is already at the corner.
His eyes glow like a predator hunting in the dark.
He sneers, asking Muge if he really thought he could run.
The sheer malice in his voice is straight out of hell.
Terrified, our guy bolts again, desperately searching for a hiding spot. Every dark corner looks like a lifesaver, or a trap. Behind him, those footsteps are closing the gap fast.
They beat against his chest like a terrifying countdown timer.
No stopping, an abandoned building looms ahead. Seeing a tiny spark of hope, he dives inside. The place is completely decaying, walls covered in thick cobwebs.
Pitch black, for horror movie vibes.
But Lin Xiaoxi is right on his heels, screaming his name. His echo bounces off the walls, sounding absolutely unhinged. The maniac starts checking every single room, hunting him down. Muge hides, barely breathing.
His heart is beating so loud it might give him away.
Outside, those heavy footsteps keep echoing through the halls.
Each step makes the pure terror in his chest tighten.
Then the nightmare speaks. He whispers that he can smell him, saying there is no escape. That chilling voice wraps around Muge like cold hands.
His stomach drops instantly as cold sweat starts pouring.
He is completely drenched, but forces himself to stay focused. His mind races, desperately searching for any way out. Wait, a frayed rope lies nearby. He spots a torn sack and gets an idea. He ties a rope to it and drops it right out the window. The heavy thud echoes loud through the silent building. Right on cue, Lin Xiaoxi hears it and rushes toward the sound. Her footsteps fade away, and this is his only chance. He slips away in the opposite direction as quietly as possible. Dodging the messy debris on the floor, he searches for an exit. Finally, he finds a hidden exit. Talk about a massive relief. The moment he steps outside, her furious roar echoes from within. The absolute rage in her voice is terrifying. He keeps running. He dashes forward until he hits a packed, lively market.
It is absolutely packed with people going about their day.
But to him, this normal world feels totally alien now. While he stands there completely out of breath and shaking, a kind-looking girl named Su Yao approaches him. Her eyes are full of concern as she asks if he is okay. Her soft voice is incredibly gentle and warm. It feels like a sudden ray of hope in this nightmare. But he cannot relax. He keeps scanning his surroundings. He is terrified that Lin Xiaoxi will suddenly pop out of nowhere. Every single lookalike in the crowd makes his chest tighten. Sensing his pure panic, she tells him to follow her. Her calm tone acts like a soothing hand over his racing heart. He hesitates for just a second. But looking at her sincere eyes, he decides to trust her. Su Yao leads him over to a quiet corner of the market. She asks what happened, her eyes filled with deep worry. Exhausted, he gives her a quick summary of the situation.
His voice trembles with pure exhaustion as he explains.
Reliving that absolute nightmare in his head is painful enough. Su Yao frowns, deeply unsettled by his story. She is visibly shocked and tells him this is insane. She offers to hide him, but right at that moment, boom, Lin Xiaoxi appears at the entrance, scanning the crowd. Her gaze is incredibly cold, like a predator hunting prey. It literally feels like a venomous snake locked on its target. Her eyes sweep across the market and stop right on them. Instantly, she flashes this twisted, wildly excited grin. It is honestly chilling. Su Yao immediately senses his fear. She looks over and spots Lin Xiaoxi marching their way. Before Su Yao can even react, the crazy girl approaches. She locks eyes with Muge, saying she finally found him. There is a slight tremble in her voice. Part anger, part pure thrill of finally catching her prey. Instantly, Muji steps in front to shield Su Yao. Lin Xiaoxi's face drops, turning incredibly dark. She glares at Su Yao, demanding to know who she is and why they're together. Muge tries to explain, but Su Yao quickly cuts him off. Who even are you, she asks, and why are you stalking Muge? Lin Xiaoxi scoffs. She is his girlfriend, and she only clings because she loves him.
She can't live without him, so Su Yao better back off right now.
Otherwise, she'll make her life absolute hell, and honestly, Lin Xiaoxi's eyes are fully bloodshot. Her voice is screechy enough to make your skin crawl, but Su Yao doesn't back down.
I won't listen to you, Su Yao says. Muge can choose who he wants.
This toxic drama is only making him hate her more, and wow, that completely triggers her.
She screams like a psycho, lunging at Su Yao for trying to steal her man.
Mugi quickly jumps in the middle, shoving Lin Xiaoxi away.
She stumbles back to find her balance, staring at Muge in total disbelief.
With eyes full of hurt and rage, she asks how he could push her for this girl.
Did he forget all their beautiful times together and his promise of forever? Tears start flooding down Lin Xiaoxi's face, but her expression turns straight up terrifying. She blames this homewrecker for ruining everything and making Muge throw her away.
I'm gonna kill you!
Lin Xiaoxi pulls a sharp knife out of her bag and charges straight at Su Yao.
Talk about a crazy plot twist. In that split second, Muge lunges to stop her. He grabs her wrist tightly, yelling at Lin Xiaoxi to wake up.
Muge screams at the top of his lungs, desperately trying to pry the knife away.
Lin Xiaoxi thrashes around like crazy, screaming that they both deserve to die. Nobody is taking him away as Muji forces her arm behind her back. He finally disarms her, but Lin Xiaoxi goes completely feral.
She starts kicking and biting him, screaming that she hates Muge. She screeches that everything she did was out of pure love for him.
By now, a huge crowd of bystanders has gathered around them, whispering. Looking at this totally unhinged girl, Muge feels nothing but exhaustion and dread. He has no idea how to handle this madness or how much longer he can take it. But seeing that desperate, broken look in Lin Xiaoxi's eyes, his heart softens. Lin Xiaoxi, please stop. You are only hurting yourself, and it is killing me inside. His voice is heavy with exhaustion, and hearing this actually makes Lin Xiaoxi freeze. Suddenly, she goes completely quiet, staring at him blankly. Tears stream down her face as she whispers that she truly can't live without Muge. Why can't you just understand my heart? She sobs. Her whole body is trembling as Muge lets out a heavy sigh. Love shouldn't be forced, he tells her. What she is doing isn't love anymore. It is just pure hurt, leaving Lin Xiaoxi biting her lip in silence. A flash of confusion and pain crosses her eyes as she admits she can't control herself. The mere thought of Muge leaving her drives her completely insane.
He gently pats her shoulder, telling Lin Xiaoxi to calm down and actually think about this. This kind of toxic obsession is only destroying them both.
But instead of calming down, his words make her snap even harder. Lin Xiaoxi violently slaps Mu's hand away, his eyes wide with mania. You can see the pure, unhinged madness in his eyes as he screams hysterically. He demands to know what Mu means, asking if he's actually trying to abandon him. That screeching voice is so sharp, it literally cuts through the air, giving Mu chills. Lin Xiaoxi is shaking violently now, clenching his fists with insane force. His nails are digging deep into his skin, his knuckles turning completely bloodless. He screams about doing everything for Mu, crying about how he could be treated like this. Tears are flooding down his face like a broken dam, totally out of control. But he doesn't even care, completely lost in his own explosive, toxic emotions. Honestly, he is totally losing it, screaming that he can't even control himself. He blames his psycho behavior on love, asking if he'd ever act like this otherwise. Sobbing hysterically, he starts aggressively pounding on Mu's chest with all his might. Every single punch is full force, with Lin Xiaoxi screaming that Mu belongs to him. Just him. Nobody else is ever allowed to take Moose away. Not even Mu has a say, and Lin Xiaoxi's gaze turns incredibly dark. Talk about spine-chilling. He suddenly lunges forward and locks Mu in a tight embrace. The grip is insanely strong, and he growls that Mu will never leave him. He literally whispers into Mu's ear that they will die together. That hot breath on Mu's neck makes him feel like he's falling into freezing ice. At this point, bystanders are totally freaked out, screaming as they run away. They are scattering in all directions, leaving the scene in absolute chaos. Trapped in that suffocating grip, Mu can barely breathe. This is wild, guys. He is filled with absolute dread, but then a sudden surge of adrenaline hits. Out of nowhere, Mu finds the strength to violently break free from the psycho. Without a second thought, he turns around and starts sprinting for his life. Lin Xiaoxi is screaming like a demon behind him, telling Mu to get back. He yells that Mu can't escape, but Mu doesn't dare look back. His ears are ringing with the rushing wind and his own pounding heart. He keeps running like his lungs are literally about to explode. But he can't slow down for a second, pushing past his absolute limit. Suddenly, his vision starts going black and his legs turn to complete jelly. He crashes heavily onto the pavement, but his brain is screaming in panic. If he stops now, he'll be caught, and that is a straight-up game over. Forcing himself through the intense pain, he pushes his body to stand up. But his legs feel like pure lead, and every movement is absolute torture. No giving up, absolutely not. Screaming at himself internally, he somehow manages to shakily stand back up. He stumbles forward as Lin Xiaoxi's terrifying screams get closer and closer. Honestly, pure survival instinct is the only thing keeping his legs moving. Suddenly, he sees flashing police lights just up ahead. Talk about a literal lifesaver. Mu charges toward them with everything he has. He starts screaming for help at the top of his lungs. Hearing his desperate cries, the officers quickly jump out to protect him. But just as Mu reaches them, Lin Xiaoxi catches up too. Seeing the law enforcement, the crazy guy finally hesitates, showing a flash of fear. "Freeze!" the police yell out. Lin Xiaoxi instantly stops dead in her tracks. But her eyes are still locked right on Mua. What the hell is going on here? The cops demand answers, while our guy Muda is just catching his breath. He quickly explains the whole crazy situation, and the officers glance over at Lin Xiaoxi. They tell them both to head down to the station. Finally, with a police escort, Mu finally gets some breathing room away from this girl as they arrive at headquarters. You would think he is safe now, but nope, this is where it gets totally chaotic. Inside the station, Lin Xiaoxi is absolutely losing it, screaming that Mu is her soulmate. She insists he can never leave her, and then she pulls out a massive stack of... This includes couple photos and letters Muzori supposedly wrote to her. The cops are completely thrown off by this and actually start doubting Munda's story. They ask him what is going on, because this evidence looks incredibly real. As the officer frowns in confusion, Mu frantically tries to explain the truth. Those photos were forced, and she literally threatened him to write those creepy letters. But the cops are still looking at him like he is lying. And right then, Lin Xiaoxi starts wailing again, throwing the entire police station into absolute chaos. Our guy thought the police station would be a safe haven with a fair resolution. Instead, the entire situation is rapidly spiraling completely out of his control. Lin Xiaoxi's endless crying is seriously getting on the officers' nerves. Their stares toward Mu get colder as they ask how he can prove this was forced. Where is the evidence, they demand. Mu is left completely speechless. Of course he has no proof of those moments. Who keeps receipts? Suddenly she stops crying. She stares chillingly at Mu and tells him to just stop struggling. "You are mine," she says, sending chills down his spine. Just then, the station landline rings. The voice on the other end of the line? The call makes the officers turn pale as they hang up with grim looks. The officer turns to Mu, explaining they just got a call from a local hospital. It turns out Lin Xiaoxi has severe mental illness and skipped her treatment. Absolute plot twist. Mu's hope is completely shattered. Looking at her wildly obsessed stare, he realizes fighting back right now is too dangerous. It could trigger her. He decides to play along. He fakes a gentle smile, telling Lin Xiaoxi that they can leave together now. Instantly, her face lights up with a creepily joyful grin. She grabs his hand with a death grip, terrified he might try to run again. With the cops watching in total confusion, Mu walks out of the station with her. On the street, she clings to his arm, whispering endless sweet nothings into his ear. But Mub is absolutely sweating bullets, wondering what insane trap he is walking into next. Suddenly, they pass a narrow alleyway packed with random trash and cluttered boxes. This is his chance. She gets distracted. Mu seizes the moment, ripping his hand away from her terrifying grip. He bolts into the dark alley while she screams in absolute fury behind him. "How dare you run!" she shrieks. Mu ignores her. He just runs, parkouring over old boxes, desperately searching for any way out. But then, snap, a rope trips him and he crashes down. But his sheer will to survive keeps him from hesitating for even a second. He scrambles right back up and keeps sprinting, ignoring the pain. Behind him, Lin Xiaoxi's footsteps and crazy shouts are getting dangerously close. His heart is in his throat, and right when hope is completely gone, he spots a low wall ahead with a quiet street on the other side. Mu uses his last bit of strength to scale the wall and leaps over. But the second he lands, Lin Xiaoxi actually leaps right over after him. She grabs his shirt, screaming that Brother Mu will never run from her again.
She is absolutely roaring, and her grip is honestly terrifying.
Mu struggles with everything he has got to break free from her grip. But she holds on like a vice, absolutely refusing to let go. He screams at Lin Xiaoxi to just let him go. No way! She yells back that he is hers forever. Her eyes are pure yandere madness. Honestly, it is terrifying. Police sirens suddenly echo in the distance, and her face instantly pales. She drags him away, quickly slipping into an abandoned warehouse nearby. The place is pitch black, damp, and smells absolutely awful.
Lin Xiaoxi clamps her hand over his mouth to keep him quiet.
The sirens get louder, making his heart race like crazy. Sweat pours down Mu's face as she nervously glares at the entrance. Her body is trembling slightly, and after a tense silence, the sirens finally fade away, and she slowly releases her grip. Mu gasps for air while she mutters that they will never find them. Looking at her, Mu is just filled with absolute dread and exhaustion. Testing the waters, Mu tries the ultimate play and softly calls her his wife.
She instantly lights up, her terrifying gaze softening in pure joy.
"You finally called me that," she whispers, as Mu forces a fake smile. He coos that hiding in this dump forever is no way to live. He suggests finding a quiet place together, but she looks highly suspicious. "Are you actually serious?" she asks, and Mutt nods frantically. "Of course it is," he says, claiming he has finally accepted reality. He promises to stay forever, bringing a blissful smile to her face. She finally lets her guard down, but Mu is just playing along. It is all a lie to buy time while he pretends to plan. He secretly scans the room, desperately looking for an exit. He promises they will find a peaceful little town to settle down. Snuggling into his chest, she says she is happy anywhere with him. Anywhere is perfect, but right in that cozy moment. Mus spots a broken window in the corner that might be his exit. He accidentally glances toward it, which turns out to be a massive mistake.
That tiny look instantly triggers her, and she goes full alert mode again. Grabbing his arm, her eyes flare with pure rage and betrayal.
"You are trying to run," she screams, knowing he lied to her. Mu panics, desperately lying that he would never do that. He claims he was just looking around, but Lin Xiaoxi is definitely not buying that weak excuse. Her grip is surprisingly tight, holding him in a death lock and refusing to let go. She warns him not to pull any more tricks. She is done believing his lies. Just then, noises echo outside the warehouse, like a search party is closing in. This sends Lin Xiaoxi into a panic, dragging our guy deeper into the shadows of the warehouse. He desperately tries to quiet her down, begging his wife to just trust him. He promises they will get through this, trying his best to keep his voice sounding completely calm and sincere, but Lin Xiaoxi just glares, accusing him of lying again. She is not buying it, but he pleads that he truly knows he messed up this time. He apologizes for all the pain and misery he put her through in the past. He vows to treat her right and never leave her side again, pleading desperately. He locks eyes with her, trying to force every ounce of sincerity into his gaze. It actually works. Her expression softens a bit, though she is still highly suspicious.
She asks if he really won't run away, and he swears he's staying. He insists it is too dangerous out there and that they should just lie low.
Once the coast is clear, they can leave, and he carefully reaches for her hand. She hesitates, but then the yandere finally nods and accepts his touch.
She finally lowers her guard just a fraction, and seeing this slight opening,
Our guy breathes a massive sigh of relief, keeping up the sweet talk to soothe her.
He suggests they get some rest until the noise outside completely dies down.
Lin Xiaoxi snuggles right into his chest, giving him a gentle, quiet nod.
She agrees to trust him, and the two huddle quietly in the dark warehouse corner.
Minutes turn into hours as they wait in absolute silence, losing all track of time. Eventually, Lin Xiaoxi drifts off to sleep, her face still looking incredibly exhausted and anxious.
looking down at her sleeping face, our main character is feeling extremely conflicted.
Part of him is absolutely terrified of her obsessive, borderline psychotic behavior. But at the same time, he can't help but feel bad for her. Still, he knows. No way he can stay here. He has to find a way to escape right now. He gently slides her off his shoulder, moving with absolute agonizing caution. He stands up without making a sound, his heart pounding wildly with every single step. Terrified of waking the beast, he finally makes it to the warehouse exit. Pushing the door open a tiny crack, he cautiously peers outside into the open. Once he is sure the coast is clear, he takes a deep, grounding breath. And then, he just bolts, running as fast as his legs can carry him.
His frantic heartbeat matches the frantic rhythm of his footsteps hitting the pavement.
It is pure adrenaline at this point as he sprints ahead, not daring to look back.
Absolutely winded and gasping for air, he finally reaches a busy, crowded street. He ducks into a nearby coffee shop, immediately claiming a table in the corner. His hands are still shaking, and it takes him a minute to finally calm down. But then, a sudden realization hits him. He left his phone right next to her. All his personal info and contacts are on it, and if she unlocks it, that would be game over. But going back to get it, way too risky. He is completely torn, but ultimately decides he has to take the risk and go back. Sneaking back into the warehouse, he is relieved to see Lin Xiaoxi is still fast asleep. On absolute tiptoes, he edges closer, his eyes locked dead on her face. Fearing she might snap her eyes open, his hand slowly reaches for the device. His heart is pounding out of his chest, and his fingers are literally millimeters away from the phone. But then, clink, he accidentally bumps some clutter next to him, making a tiny noise. Lin Xiaoxi snaps her eyes wide open, and they lock gazes, truly terrifying. Time literally freezes. He can see the instant flame of rage igniting in her eyes. She screams that he lied again, immediately lunging straight at him. No time to grab the phone. He spins around and bolts. Lin Xiaoxi is hot on his heels, screaming wild curses the entire time. Running completely blind, he trips over a loose stone and crashes down hard. Before he can even scramble up, Lin Xiaoxi is already right on top of him. She gets a death grip on his arm, yelling that he is never running away again. Her voice cracks with raw fury and despair, while he desperately struggles to break free. But it is completely useless. Her strength is actually built different. She begins dragging him back, step by step, ordering him to come with her. His heart sinks straight to the bottom. Seriously, what kind of ending awaits him now? But right at this critical moment, his buddy Lin Ze finally shows up. Talk about perfect timing. Lin Ze barks out to let him go, which actually startles Lin Xiaoxi for a second. But she instantly snaps right back into her terrifyingly fierce expression. She warns him to mind his own business, but Lin Ze does not back down. Stepping closer, Lin Ze warns her that what she is doing is literally illegal. Lin Xiaoxi just sneers, saying she only cares about keeping him by her side. She does not care about anything else, but that is the exact split-second distraction Lin Ze needed. He lunges forward, yanks our guy behind him, and yells for them to move. They both book it. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxi is chasing them like an absolute demon. They sprint for their lives, not daring to slow down even for a second. Lin Ze weaves through a maze of streets before slipping into a narrow alleyway. Luckily, the sound of her frantic footsteps and screaming finally starts to fade away. They actually made it out. Wow, that was way too close. Exhausted, our guy collapses onto the pavement. Honestly, Lin Ze is completely out of breath too. Still, he pats his shoulder and assures him that everything is going to be fine. After catching their breath in the shadows, they finally stand up and move out. To make sure they are totally safe, they head straight into a nearby hotel.
They quickly check in at the front desk and head up to their room.
Only then do those frayed nerves finally relax. He genuinely thanks Lin Ze for saving him. Lin Ze just laughs it off, saying they are brothers, but asks what the plan is next. That question instantly leaves him silent. A deep, lingering dread still weighs heavy on him. What if she actually tracks them down here? The room falls into a heavy, suffocating silence. The only sound is their own breathing. A few days pass by.
The quiet, normal days slowly help him let his guard down again. He even starts trying to ease back into a normal routine alongside Lin Ze. They go for casual walks around the hotel, finally tasting a bit of actual freedom.
But right when it feels like the nightmare is finally over, plot twist.
One quiet afternoon, he walks back to his hotel room.
Right there at the door sits a highly familiar bouquet of flowers. His stomach instantly drops.
Could it really be her? He picks up the bouquet with trembling hands, looking closely. Tucked inside is a small card that simply reads, "Have a pleasant stay." So the hotel message was just a greeting. Total relief. Paranoia. He laughs it off. He and Lin Ze spend their days taking quiet walks around the streets. Peace and quiet. Then a shady stranger rushes past them and bumps hard right into our guy. "Sorry," they mumble, then vanish.
That back looks incredibly familiar. Instantly, our protagonist gets a really bad feeling. But maybe he is just overthinking. There are plenty of lookalikes out there, so they both shrug it off. They keep walking. Not very far, though. Ahead, a massive crowd is gathered, all watching some kind of commotion. They check it out.
Turns out it is a street magician with some pretty wild tricks.
Cheering crowds, infectious good vibes.
They stop to enjoy the performance until the show finally winds down. Everyone leaves. He turns around. Right there, that same familiar figure is slipping into a dark side alley. Something is wrong. He follows. They rush into the alleyway, but the figure has completely vanished. Then, a sob. They follow the sound and find a little girl crying in the corner. Heartbroken, our main guy walks over to see if she is okay. Lost from her mother. They cannot ignore her. They promise to help. They walk around asking local shopkeepers, putting in some serious effort until they, boom, finally locate her mother, who breaks down crying, thanking them endlessly. Seeing them reunite warms his heart. It completely washes away any lingering anxiety about that creepy stalker stranger. The duo gets back to strolling, just enjoying the lively street vibes. Lin Ze leaves. Back at the hotel, the deafening silence immediately starts bringing back some dark memories. He lies awake, remembering those absolutely terrifying days of being hunted down. Buzzing phone? Unknown number? He hesitates before picking up, only to hear a chilling, low-pitched voice.
Do not think you can hide from me forever. And then, click.
His heart leaps straight into his throat. Who is this mysterious threat? Is Lin Xiaoxi back? Or is someone else stalking him? Suddenly, violent knocking slams against his door. Shaking, he asks who is there. "Honey," that sweet, terrifying voice replies. The one person he never wanted to hear. Pure, absolute despair. He backs up against the door, his mind going completely blank with terror. Total panic, no exit. Forcing a calm voice, he calls out, "So you finally made it." Instantly, the door is smashed open and Lin Xiaoxi violently bursts in. Alright, so this yandere is staring right at our boy with these crazy burning eyes, absolutely terrifying. Step by step, he corners our boy, asking if he really thought he could ever escape. Cornered with absolutely nowhere to run, our boy can only freeze as Lin Xiaoxi reaches out to stroke his face. In a deeply creepy voice, he whispers that our boy is his and will be forever. He warns that even if our boy runs to the ends of the earth, he will drag him back. Terrified out of his mind, our guy tries to push the crazy bastard off him. Our boy screams for Lin Xiaoxi to stop, calling him insane, but that just makes the guy laugh even harder. Lin Xiaoxi yells that he is indeed crazy for him, but our boy uses all his strength to shove him away. Seizing his chance, our boy bolts for the door while Lin Xiaoxi stumbles backward from the hard shove.
But the psycho recovers instantly and lunges right back, screaming at our boy not to run.
At this point, our boy is just sprinting down the hallway, making wild turns to lose him. He desperately hopes to shake him off, but Lin Xiaoxi is literally glued to his heels.
Hearing those heavy footsteps and manic screams behind him, our boy's heart is practically in his throat. Finally, he spots an elevator, dives inside, and frantically spams the close button like his life depends on it.
No shot. Right as the doors are about to shut, Lin Xiaoxi's hand forces its way inside.
The doors slide back open, and this complete lunatic slides right into the elevator.
He is panting heavily, his eyes filled with nothing but pure, unadulterated madness.
He smiles and says that our boy can never escape him, not now and not ever.
Pressing his back against the cold elevator wall, our guy watches him step closer in sheer horror. The crazy guy suddenly grabs him by the collar, spitting out that he belongs to him.
He says our boy has to be his, and even if they die, they are going down together. Our boy struggles with everything he has, yelling at Lin Xiaoxi to finally wake up.
Lin Xiaoxi just sneers, saying he lost his mind the exact second our boy abandoned him.
And right on cue, he pulls a sharp dagger straight out of his pocket. The blade gleams under the elevator lights as he declares that they are ending things today.
His voice is pure despair, and right as he raises the dagger to strike, our boy reacts.
Out of nowhere, our guy gets this sudden burst of adrenaline and grabs his wrist. They get locked in this intense, desperate struggle, both fighting over the weapon.
Lin Xiaoxi's eyes are still totally unhinged, but our guy is gritting his teeth, giving it everything.
Drop the knife, Lin Xiaoxi. Stop doing this. Our boy screams at the top of his lungs. But in the middle of this crazy scuffle, the blade accidentally slices our boy's hand open.
Blood starts dripping, but he completely ignores the pain.
He keeps his grip tight, and thank goodness finally manages to wrench the dagger away. He tosses the weapon into the corner, and suddenly, Lin Xiaoxi seems to completely lose his drive.
The guy just collapses onto the floor, sobbing hysterically as our boy asks what he's crying for.
Looking down at him, our guy is furious, but he can't help feeling a tiny bit of pity. Looking up with a tear-stained face, the guy sob whispers that he is crying for a reason. He's crying because he loves our boy so insanely, yet all our boy does is try to run away. Our boy frowns, telling him straight up that this kind of love is literally suffocating.
This is not healthy, Lin Xiaoxi, but the guy just shakes his head while weeping.
He insists this is his love, something pure, intense, and taken to the absolute extreme. Our boy sighs helplessly, pointing out that an obsession like this will only destroy them both. Seeing how utterly stubborn and unhinged he is, our boy is just left feeling completely exhausted. But then, right out of nowhere, Lin Xiaoxi completely stops his crying. His gaze turns dead serious as he whispers that even if they burn, he doesn't care.
Suddenly, Lin Xiaoxi lunges forward and locks our MC's legs in a death grip.
Screaming like an absolute psycho, he shrieks that he'll never let him go, even if the world ends.
He demands they stay together forever, while our guy desperately struggles to kick him off.
Our guy roars in panic, telling Lin Xiaoxi that he is being absolutely terrifying right now.
But Xiaoxi just tilts his head up, plastering this deeply unsettling, creepy grin on his face. He giggles that if he's scary, it is only because his love goes straight to the bone. Right after that, Lin Xiaoxi literally digs his fingernails deep into our MC's flesh. With eyes full of unhinged obsession, he whispers that our guy's blood and pain belong to him alone. Our MC stares back in pure horror, his heart hammering against his ribs at warp speed. Our guy calls him a complete maniac, but Xiaoxi just lets out this chilling, high-pitched giggle.
That laughter echoes in the cramped elevator. Seriously,
It is straight out of a horror movie.
Xiaoxi gladly admits it. Yes, he is a lunatic, but a lunatic driven mad by love.
Seeing this, our guy is completely paralyzed with fear, his legs turning to absolute mush. Unable to move a muscle, he watches helplessly as Lin Xiaoxi seizes the chance to squeeze him tighter. The psycho whispers directly into his ear, telling his darling to finally stop struggling. He tells him to just accept their fate, sending a wave of ice-cold sweat down our MC's spine. Our guy's mind goes completely blank, leaving him standing there like a statue. He just lets the overwhelming terror consume him entirely,
But then, the lights start acting up.
The elevator lights flicker violently, making the whole vibe of this scene 10 times creepier.
Xiaoxi does not even care about the lights, keeping his eyes locked onto our MC like a predator. To him, our guy is the only thing that exists in the world, making the silence suffocating. Thank goodness the doors finally slide open, revealing a few hotel staff standing right outside. Seeing this utterly bizarre hostage-like situation, the workers are completely stunned. But Lin Xiaoxi acts like they do not even exist, still clinging on to our guy for dear life. He mumbles that nobody can ever take his love away, giving our MC a desperate window to escape. Our guy begs the staff for help, which finally snaps the workers out of their daze. They rush forward to pull Lin Xiaoxi off, but the psycho starts thrashing and screaming. He shrieks at them to get their hands off, yelling that our MC belongs only to him. In the absolute chaos, our guy finally breaks free from his grip and bolts out of the elevator.
The hotel staff band together and finally manage to pin the wild stalker down. Even under their restraint, Xiaoxi keeps violently writhing around like an untamed beast.
He screams down the hallway that our guy can never run and that he will find him. Our MC does not dare look back, just sprinting for his absolute life. Even after putting some distance between them, his heart is still pounding right out of his chest. That terrifying scene keeps flashing in his head, leaving him completely shaken and lost. He has no clue what kind of insane stunt Lin Xiaoxi might pull next. Honestly, there is no telling if he will ever truly escape this nightmare of a stalker. Completely spooked, he wanders blindly through the endless hotel corridors like a frightened animal. Now watch, because right when he thinks he's safe, the absolute worst happens. Suddenly, a chilling, all too familiar voice echoes from right behind him. It is Lin Xiaoxi, whispering that he knew his darling could not run very far. Our MC's body freezes instantly, and he slowly, dreadfully turns around. Xiaoxi is walking toward him, step by step, hair totally messy and disheveled. His eyes are filled with pure triumph and madness as he repeats that our guy is his. He warns him not to even think of escaping, while our guy desperately backs away. She hits the freezing wall, trapped, begging Lin Xiaoxi to finally let her go. But he just sneers, saying he will only stop when he is dead, closing in on her. Before she can even blink, Lin Xiaoxi rushes right into her personal space. He grabs her arm tight, whispering that there is absolutely nowhere left for her to run. No shot she escapes this. His grip is literally like iron. Desperate, she screams that what he is doing is completely illegal. He does not care at all, dragging her back while saying he would break any law for her. She stumbles along behind him, her entire world consumed by pure terror and helplessness. Back in the room, Lin Xiaoxi slams the door shut with a loud bang, shoving her right onto the bed. He warns her fiercely that she is never leaving his side again. Before she can even react, Lin Xiaoxi suddenly leans down over her. Forcing a kiss right there, he leaves her completely shocked. Her mind goes totally blank. When he pulls away, his eyes are pure obsession, muttering that she belongs to him forever. Snapping out of it, she tries pushing him off. She begs him to snap out of it, but he just locks her in another tight embrace. He whispers that he is perfectly sane and knows exactly what he is doing. Then he kisses her again, but this time it is completely wild and aggressive. It feels like he is trying to devour her, leaving her breathless. She tries to fight back, but his hands hold her down like literal iron clamps, leaving her absolutely zero room to resist as time freezes completely. Her breathing gets heavier, and the sheer terror in her chest rises. Just when she feels like she is about to pass out. Finally letting go, Lin Xiaoxi looks completely dazed, but satisfied. He smiles warmly, telling her that now she will never be able to forget him. She collapses onto the bed, desperately gasping for air in absolute despair. Meanwhile, Lin Xiaoxi just sits there, staring at her like a hawk, treating her like a prize he might lose if he looks away for a second. And then the quietness in the room becomes honestly terrifying. Only her heavy breathing echoes, and she is too terrified to lock eyes with him. Too scared of his crazy eyes as the seconds slowly tick by. Her heart sinks. Honestly, how does she even escape this nightmare of a story? She has no idea how long she can survive before he leans in again. He gently caresses her face, his voice sounding shockingly soft. But there is this chilling obsession beneath his words.
He asks if they can stay like this forever while she shuts her eyes, too terrified to speak.
Her body cannot stop trembling because she remains silent. Seeing her ignore him, Lin Xiaoxi pulls her in for another kiss. And this time, the kiss is filled with pure, reckless madness. Once again, her mind goes blank as she loses her breath. It is hard to tell how long passes before he lets go. His eyes are glowing with satisfaction as he whispers that since she is silent, he will take her silence as consent, his voice ringing right in her ear. She lies there completely defeated with absolutely zero strength left to fight.
Lin Xiaoxi pulls our girl into a tight hug, his heartbeat racing like crazy.
"From now on," he whispers, "you aren't going anywhere." He mumbles to himself while she just freezes, completely puppeted by his control. Night falls, leaving the room pitched in total darkness. In the dark, Lin Xiaoxi's heavy breathing fills the room as he tells her to sleep. He promises she will always be safe as long as she stays right by his side. His gentle tone is terrifying, and there is absolutely no way she can sleep through this. She is drowning in pure despair, absolutely terrified of what he might do next. She has no idea when this nightmare of a life will finally end. Honestly, the pacing here gets so heavy as Lin Xiaoxi tightens his grip day by day. He won't let her out of his sight, not even for a single second. Completely cut off from the world, she is practically a prisoner in this tiny room. He cooks for her every single day, but the food tastes like actual ash. He keeps rambling on, describing this delusional future he has planned for them.
All she can do is stare blankly ahead, completely hollowed out.
But then, a sudden twist, he decides to take her out for a walk. A tiny spark of hope lights up inside her. This could be her only chance to run. But the second they step outside the hotel, she realizes his grip is like an iron vice. He doesn't let go for a single second, and that's when she sees him.
A police officer is standing right ahead, making her heart practically jump out of her chest.
Her eyes practically beg for help, and Lin Xiaoxi immediately senses the shift. He clamps down on her hand, trying to drag her away as fast as possible. She thrashes with everything she has left, desperate to catch the officer's eye. She screams out for help, begging the officer to save her. The officer instantly perks up and steps in, blocking their path. He asks what's going on, and Lin Xiaoxi's face instantly drops. Trying to play it cool, he lies and says they are just a couple. Just a little lover spat. Then the officer looks right at her. His eyes ask if that's true, and she frantically shakes her head. "No," she stammers out, voice shaking uncontrollably. "He is keeping me locked up and won't let me go." But the officer totally buys the psycho's lies, telling them to just go home and talk it out. Seriously, this useless cop trope is absolutely infuriating, and just like that, he walks away. Her world completely shatters, and that dark despair rushes right back in. Lin Xiaoxi smirks, pulling her along while whispering that nobody can save her now. Once they get back to the room, his smug look turns pitch black. He stares her down. How dare she try to get help from someone else? "Guess he's been way too nice," he says, as she collapses to the floor. Her eyes go completely dead, wondering how much longer she can survive this. Suddenly, he yanks her up by the arm with a terrifying look in his eyes. He growls that from now on, he is locking her up so she can never run. He pulls out a heavy metal chain, forcefully binding her hands and feet. She screams out that this is illegal and he'll go to jail. He just scoffs at her empty threats. As long as she stays with him, he doesn't care if he rots in hell. Lin Xiaoxi tosses Mu straight into the corner, growling at him to stay there and reflect on his actions. No escape. He is totally trapped in the dark. Just when Mu is drowning in pure fear and despair, Lin Xiaoxi slowly creeps back over. He gently caresses Mu's face, but his voice is absolutely freezing as he calls him dear, promising to treat him well if he behaves. But Mutt turns his head away, completely done with looking at that utterly unhinged expression. A sudden slap. "How dare you ignore me?" Demanding to know why Mu cannot just return his love when he cares so damn much. Staring at Lin Xiaoxi's gorgeous face, Mu knows he cannot push him further.
So he quickly plays along, calling him wifey and begging him not to be mad anymore.
Hearing that pet name actually works. This yandere's crazy face instantly softens, which is honestly wild to watch. But his suspicious eyes still demand answers. Mu nods like crazy, promising his wifey that he will obey every single order from now on. The yandere just stares at him for ages, trying to read if Mu is actually lying. His voice softens, promising that as long as he behaves, he will not have to get rough with him again. Talk about easy to manipulate, so while Mu wears a pleasing smile, he is already planning how to escape. Luckily, the yandere temporarily lets his guard down. As the yandere actually goes to prepare some food, Mu starts watching his every single move like a hawk, desperately scanning the room to see if there is any tool he can use to break out. And then, boom. Lin Xiaoxi suddenly whips his head around, locking his cold eye straight onto him. It literally feels like he is reading his mind, sending a massive shockwave of panic through Mu. Mu quickly looks down, but Lin Xiaoxi calls his name coldly, warning our boy that he knows exactly what is going on in his head, and if he even dreams of running, he will not escape easily next time, so Mu quickly calls him wifey, insisting he has zero plans to run and only cares about him, making Lin Xiaoxi let out a snort. The guy goes back to his cooking, but honestly, his eyes never actually leave Mu for a second. Talk about terrifying. Mu feels like he is targeted by a venomous snake. Minutes slowly tick by, and at this point, Mu's nerves are literally stretched to the absolute breaking limit. Finally, he begs his wifey to unlock him. It hurts too much, making Lin Xiaoxi stop immediately. Unlock? Lin Xiaoxi turns with pure suspicion, suspecting another escape attempt, but Mu instantly denies it, swearing that his entire body is just in absolute pain from the ropes and he cannot take it. Lin Xiaoxi frowns, thinking it over before slowly pacing back to him with a quiet sign of agreement. One wrong move and the consequences will be brutal. Inside, Mu is absolutely celebrating, but on the outside, he keeps that perfect, submissive puppy dog act, whispering his thanks, promising to never deceive his wifey. Lin Xiaoxi slowly unlocks the heavy iron chains, finally letting Mu stretch out his completely numb arms and legs. Free, but still unsafe. The timing is still way off for a real escape, so making a reckless move right now is suicide. He cannot trigger Lin Xiaoxi again, warning him not to think this freedom means anything, because his only option is to stay right by his side. Mu just nods like crazy, promising to be good. Mu promises he won't run, so for the next few days, he acts like an absolute angel, even helping Lin Xiaoxi with chores, hoping to lower her guard. But wait, Lin Xiaoxi never takes her eyes off him. Talk about intense pressure. But Mo doesn't quit. He acts like the perfect boyfriend, helping around the house constantly. He even showers her with sweet talk. Honestly, his survival instinct is insane. And slowly, Lin Xiaoxi actually starts lowering her guard. Her eyes finally soften up. One day, she actually smiles. "You've gotten so obedient," she says. Inside, Mu is celebrating, knowing his Oscar-level acting is working. Outwardly, he keeps up the loving act. "I'll always cherish you," he says.
As the days pass, Lin Xiaoxi finally starts loosening her grip on him.
She even leaves the house alone for groceries without watching him 24/7. Today, she leaves. This is his chance. He doesn't waste a second. He bolts straight out the door, too terrified to look back, running like crazy. The goal is simple: escape this absolute nightmare and get away from Lin Xiaoxi. Sprinting through streets, out of breath. He can't stop, but right as he thinks he's safe, a chilling voice echoes from right behind him. Lin Xiaoxi screams in pure rage. "Mu, get back here right now!" His stomach drops. He runs faster. Panicked, he ducks into a random hotel and hides in the first unlocked room. Footsteps approach. His heart is in his throat, but the person entering is a cute girl named Luo Yiyi. She freezes, then flashes a creepy smile. "Why are you here?" He is speechless. She steps closer, her eyes sparkling with pure madness. "Don't worry," she says. "I won't hurt you. But don't even think about leaving."
And that's when Mu realizes.
He just jumped straight out of the frying pan. This Luo Yiyi girl is another complete yandere. Talk about terrible luck.
Before he can even process this, Luo Yiyi pounces and forcefully kisses him.
He tries to push her away, but Luo Yiyi locks her arms around him, making the kiss even more aggressive. He can't breathe. With a desperate surge of strength, he breaks free. "What are you doing?" he screams. Luo Yiyi just slowly licks her lips. Her eyes completely glazed over. "You are just so handsome," she whispers. Terrified, Mu scrambles back.
Until he hits the wall.
He begs her to stay back, saying he just wants to leave. But Luo Yiyi keeps stepping closer with an obsessed smile. "Please let me go." Luo Yiyi just laughs. "Not a chance. You were born to be mine." Right then, Lin Xiaoxi starts screaming Muga's name from right outside the door. She yells that she knows he is inside and demands he get out now.
Suddenly, Muga's face goes completely pale while Luo Yiyi watches him with absolute amusement.
She is basically waiting for the drama to unfold and in a complete panic.
Muga spots a window nearby and without a single second of hesitation,
he sprints over, flings it open, and leaps straight out.
He hits the ground with a brutal impact, but there is no time to worry about his screaming leg.
He forces himself up and bolts as the furious shrieks of Luo Yiyi and Lin Xiaoxi echo behind him. He does not dare look back, and just desperately runs into the alley ahead. Talk about an insane escape!